No, there's people watching. There's quite a lot of people watching. But for those who don't know what it is, what's the overall concept of GTFO?
The elevator pitch would be Left 4 Dead crossed with Alien Isolation. So it is a four-player co-op, first-person shooter PvE game.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a much slower pace and there's more exploration, and it has more of a horror theme than most other such games. So 3 of the members of the team, including myself, worked on the Payday franchise, Payday the Heist and Payday 2. So it's in the pedigree of Left 4 Dead and Payday 2, but it's a very different beast. Like when on paper it's so close in concept, but once you start playing it, you'll realize that it's a slower, more strategic sort of gameplay, punctuated by intense combat, and then with the sort of survival horror levels of resources that are available to you as a player, it has more of this oppressive, really creepy atmosphere.
Cool. Yeah, because Payday was very much intense action.
Absolutely, yeah, much more arcadey and fast-paced. Yeah.
Left 4 Dead's like that too. It had moments of
corridor
worrying about
it has some nice stealth scenarios, definitely.
I do get very heavy alien sort of vibes.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been inspired by Alien and Aliens and the entire franchise pretty much for the lighting and the mood sort of, and yeah, and obviously the motion detector you see on the screen right now.
So you're playing PvE. Is it always 4 people? Can you play it with less?
You can play it with less. Right now, the difficulty doesn't scale for that.
Okay.
So that's up to you as a player. If you think that it's too easy with 4 players, then you can just reduce the team, and then it becomes harder. Not a lot of people would think that it's not hard enough, though. So.
Okay. Oh, that's hardcore.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, it's a game where we don't. If you're not a 4-player team, the game doesn't fill out the spots with bots, because what you'd expect or what you want that your teammates to do in GTFO, a bot really couldn't do. It wouldn't be enough for them to just be bullet sponges and draw some attention from the monsters away from you and shoot back at the monsters and revive you if you're downed. But actually, we have these puzzles where you got to read. Passwords off of a screen and read them out loud over voice chat to another player who's by a terminal and has to type that password into the terminal, and puzzles like that. And it would hamper sort of the game design we're trying to do. And actually, with bots, we would only allow people to play the game in a way that's not supposed to be played. We're going leaning heavily into cooperative gameplay. So that's what it's all about. You got to find some friends to play with, really.
Oh God, I don't know if I could find 3 people who would be able to put up with me through this, because I'm a screamer.
Oh.
I'm gonna get.
No, those are fun at the booth.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
You must have people just yelling out of nowhere. Everyone's looking over what's going on over there?
It's they're just playing a game. It's fine.
It's just a game.
About it. You've been. I think you first showed this off a few years ago in 2017 originally. So you've been in early access for a while now.
We released a trailer in 2017.
The first one, I think.
Yeah, a teaser trailer in May, and then this gameplay trailer that showed the first bits and pieces of actual gameplay at the Game Awards.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been in early access longer than since December 9th last year. So it's just 2.5 months or something like that. Yeah.
And how has that process developed? Has it changed anything in terms of the feedback that you're getting, and you're okay, we need to tweak a few things, or has it gone pretty good?
A few things, absolutely. Yeah, we had an alpha and a beta in October, November, and that gave us good feedback, and a lot of information about whether the game actually ran on hardware. It's on PC right now. But yeah, also the community is fantastic, and sorry, the community is fantastic, and what was the question?
Just have you changed anything due to feedback or any kind of things? That
not big things, really.
Well, that's a good thing.
The best thing that releasing the game has done is really confirming that there is an audience for a game as niche as this.
Yeah. Did you see it as a niche game? Because I see it as you know, it's a 4-player cooperative shooter. That's
yeah, but it's very punishing, and it's slow-paced, and it's yeah, like you can't turn off the friendly fire, and it's we think that it would attract people from like Payday community and those who like Left 4 Dead and would like there to be a Left 4 Dead 3, you know. But it's a different pace, and I think that people who like Escape from Tarkov or even Rainbow Six games would like to play this, because there is a lot of like tactical aspects to the gameplay.
okay. And in terms of the enemies that people are coming up against, are they all the same? Have you got different enemy types that do different things?
There are different enemy types, yes, and we're constantly throughout the early access phase, we'll keep adding new monsters and environmental hazards and you know, interior sets and tools for the player to use in order to combat the different threats. So right now we have what we would like to think is a great like baseline for most aspects of the game. There are some super creepy enemies, and there are some cool weapons to shoot them with, but it's going to grow from here.
And that's what you guys brought, something different to PAX. That's why you said that you have people waiting in line to play the game, even though they already have it.
Yeah, we're showing off. The game lives like a string of time-limited events, pretty much. We're not building a long like a campaign where there's like 24 maps and that's it. So the game was released with 6 maps. We call that set of maps a rundown. And when we've created a new set of maps, a new rundown, we'll wipe the other rundown, so you can never play those maps ever again. And then you can only play the new set of maps, so that the community is always focusing on the same set of maps. That's I don't know of any other game that works like that. It's sort of like Seasons, but it's shorter. And we're trying to think of like themes for every rundown to have sort of an overarching story sort of approach to it.
Do you find that when you release these maps, and since they're only out for a short period of time, do you find the community ends up having to get together and be like, oh, how did you get through this part here? Do they help each other with that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bragging rights to just beating the maps, so they always tweet that success screen at the end of the map, like on Twitter and stuff, which is nice. But there's also a lot of like people making tutorials, you know, wiki pages and video tutorials on YouTube and stuff like that, which is cool.
You mentioned that there was a set of maps every time. In terms of the size of those maps, or how long it takes to get through one, what kind of playtime?
20 minutes to an hour, maybe, for everyone.
20 minutes to an hour,
if you know how to do it. But thing is, you wouldn't beat one of those maps on the first attempt. That's the thing. It is a game where we as designers, we expect people to, you know, go in and trial and error for a couple of times to figure out what it's all about.
They're almost like, to compare it to another game that's totally different, like Destiny raid kind of things that are like, you have to get together, you have to get to the end of this thing, and then, you know, you have to learn the process of the map.
Absolutely, yeah. We drew some inspiration from Destiny in that regard, where it's like the expeditions are almost like raids, and with the building blocks or the elements that we're adding to the game throughout the early access phase, we'll have these different building blocks that we can actually put together randomly, and like, okay, so the players have played against this type of enemy for a couple of rundowns now, but what if we put that enemy in this condition, and then the environmental condition that you never encountered that enemy before changes how you need to approach that enemy, you know, darkness or fog or like spores in the air, poisonous gas or whatnot, stuff like that. Just trying to combine things and messing with how players view the things that seem to be so familiar.
That's great.
What I want to mention also is that, I mean, it's a game where communication is key. We're really, really pushing. You got to coordinate, you got to communicate. And we're here at PAX announcing that we're partnering with Overtone, which is a voice chat app currently in development. And it's a match made in heaven sort of for a game like this. And we're working with them to see how we can integrate that into the game in a nice way. we can't talk right now about exactly how that will work. But you'll be able to find players and jump into the game, launch the game actually from the Overtone app, and jump straight into GTFO. So it's
that's really interesting because it's the idea that like you should be set up with people before you even start to get into this game, and that would actually set that as a parameter.
Exactly.
Find people, then head straight to it.
Yes, you would be able to say like what type of games you like, and then the app will sort of find people who are into the same sort of games, and you can depend on that, like trust that the people who you're paired with are actually like reliable players who will not
basically.
with a friendly fire in this game. It's easy to troll people and grief play, you know. So it's important that you find people that have a microphone, speak the same language as you. Like even that's why the game is sort of I think it's like in a lot of ways a love letter to those people who like already have a team and like playing games like Rainbow Six and so on, and have a rapport and a shorthand, and have their like set roles within a team and stuff like that. Those players who like those sort of games, that sort of game, and are looking for more of a challenge actually, because it's a really challenging game.
Is there any other system in the game that helps people communicate with each other other than voice chat, or is it like you guys got to talk?
Not at the moment. We're looking at ways maybe to
like a ping system or something.
Yeah, there is a ping system.
Okay.
Yeah. Good that you mentioned that. I almost forgot. Yeah, you can like point, set markers. Every player can set a marker that is the same color as your the text for your character, and so on in the game. Yeah, but we're looking at ways to help the players even more to communicate. Not that it would ever replace actual voice chat.
Yeah.
Because again, there will be puzzles where you need to like read stuff off of screens or monitors and read them back to the other players for them to type into command consoles and stuff like that.
We've seen quite a few different weapons so far. Can you talk to us a bit about the kind of weapons that are in the game? Like, is it a loadout at the beginning?
Right now, there's a set like arsenal that you have to choose from. But down the line, we're going to add a progression system where you, as a player, for your profile, sort of collect weapons and can dismantle them and modify with the parts that you get and stuff like that. But right now, it's I don't know what the word would be. The run-of-the-mill sort of actually weapons. It's just SMGs, and DMRs and revolvers, pistols, machine guns. It's something for everyone, I guess. What's really interesting is the tools, because it is a game where the player is deprived of so much in terms of like knowing where the monsters are going to come from and stuff like that, health and ammo, obviously. But we want to make it is a game where little things can tip, whatever you can tip in your favor, sort of helps so much. So just if you know that a fight will happen in a room, and like you want to get through a security door, and you know that trying to open the security door will trigger this alarm, you know that that alarm's going to draw monsters into that room. You start like closing doors, maybe even going into the rooms that those doors lead to, and start closing the doors in those rooms, and then backing into that room where you know the fight's going to be, closing those doors as well. Anything that can buy you time. And then there's a foam launcher, which is one of the tools. You shoot the foam on the doors, it will reinforce the doors and make it take longer for the monsters to claw through the doors. Stuff like that is really interesting. You got sentry guns, you got to place those, and trip mines. Closing a door and putting a trip mine on the inside is very, very smart, because then the first monster that runs through the opening of the door and blows up isn't alone necessarily, because there's like a crowd of monsters have like congregated on the other side of the door, because it takes a while to get through it for the monsters. And then when they finally break through the door, that trip mine will take out maybe 5-6 monsters instead. So there's a lot of like strategy and tactics going into it, and you gotta make use of every little tool and thing you have. So it's not just about like firearms, which I think is a nice thing.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of you talked about like the voice app that you guys are working on to get people together.
Overtone.
Is there going to be like any kind of matchmaking that you've thought about, like that just puts people together who can
Yeah,
say,
that's part of the plan with Overtone. Yes, absolutely. How it works right now, already in the booth, is that we've set up groups where the 4 computers that people use to play together are set up as are logged into Overtone with their own individual users. One member of those groups of 4 is team party leader, who decides for the group, like, this is the game we're going to play, and then that player can actually launch the game, and it launches for everyone else at the same time.
That's
Smart.
interesting. Can you filter for like let's say you prefer to play with people who don't curse or something like that? I don't.
No, you're fine.
No.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm really not the right person to answer the question.
It's just really interesting to be able to kind of.
Yeah,
it's a smart idea. It works really well with what you guys do.
Yeah, like you have a preference filter, and you can just tick the box for curse words.
I'd like language, no language barriers. Just let me say whatever I want.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna find
okay.
that.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay. We've seen a couple of screens of the map. Is that is it a sort of a linear process of like get to point B by the end, or is there going to be multiple paths that you can go down?
There's going to be multiple paths. That's actually how we plan on doing the difficulty settings of the game, because we don't want players to be like I'm playing GTFO, but I'm playing on easy. We want it to be pretty much the same experience for everyone. That being said, we wanted there to be layers to the difficulty within any given expeditions. So the plan is to have like different paths, and so that players who are looking for even more of a challenge than what the game currently offers, there's a map. They can actually like go into parts of the map where the risk is higher. Potentially the reward would also be.
Have you guys found with any expedition that was like way harder than other ones?
Yes, every rundown, as we call the packs of maps or expeditions, you start at the top, because the game takes place in this underground complex. You start at the top, and then you work your way down, and then the maps at the bottom of the rundown would be the harder ones, and you can't get to those until you've actually completed the ones above it.
Right.
And those are the bragging rights are huge.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Got to get to the bottom first.
Yeah, we got to come up with a way to sort of allow players who've completed rundowns or like the really difficult expeditions to have some sort of a badge on, by their name or by the username, or maybe even some trinkets, dangling from the first-person weapon or some, things like that. We're thinking about ideas because it is a game where we see a lot of people on social media sharing the fact that they're completing, the levels, because it is such a difficult game. So
I thought this would make me not want to play it, and now I want to play it so much more to be able to prove to everybody that I can do it. Because now it's like the competitive nature in me is like, oh, that's it. We got to attack this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea of multiple paths is also really interesting. You could get 4 people together who have done the same, or maybe 3 people have done it, and they're like, oh, we've got to go left here. And they're like, hey, no, let's go right. Let's go and try. And you got like other people in the team being like, no.
Let's open the big red door with all the alien, I don't know.
Glyphs, the language. Maybe don't go back there.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So this thing that you're showing off at PAX, has that got a potential release date of when it's going to be in the game?